It's time for the Royal Rumble, and in first is a man who could well run through the entire field. The giant Scott is pacing like a caged lion, but the man in at number 2 is what truly makes the crowd roar.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry.
The Scottish Warrior versus the Scottish Cult Figure. And it's on! The Rumble is officially underway with a bang, but it isn't long before number 3 enters, and it's former El Campeon, Damian Priest, who goes close to getting McIntyre out, but the big man manages to hold on long enough to hear the boos ring out from the stadium as number 4 arrives. Dominic is in, and you can barely hear yourself think from all of the boos. He slides in the ring, but is immediately dumped out by Joe Hendry, and the crowd goes berserk. Dominic might have just broken Santino's record, and he's trying to tell everyone that he wasn't ready, and he's remonstrating at ringside as the clock counts down for number 5. Dominic is still complaining, and he even tries to complain to Knight, who completely ignores him and enters the fray. And we get a great one-on-one no one expected tonight between Hendry and LA Knight. The crowd eats it up, all while Drew and Priest continue their fight to get back to the top. But of course, before we know it, it's time for number 6, and it's Carmelo Hayes, who, like everyone else, ignores the complaining of Dominic, who is still going on about being eliminated. And the complaining only intensifies when number 7 enters, because it's Finn Balor, a sympathetic ear. Or so he thought, because Finn even ignores him and focuses solely on Damian Priest, which is yet to be settled in a big way. And it leaves Hayes pairing off with Knight and the 2 Scotsmen going at it, with number 8 ready to go. Familiar music, a different name. It's TNA World Champion Nick Nemeth, back on familiar turf, and he hits the match at pace, but targets fellow TNA star Joe Hendry, and it's actually Nemeth who's able to get rid of the cult hero. But Hendry isn't the only casualty, because Damian Priest and Finn Balor are so embroiled in their own hate-filled personal war that they don't see Drew McIntyre coming, who eliminates them both at the same time. And it's a big measure of revenge for Drew McIntyre after Priest's cash-in at WrestleMania 40. But they almost don't even care. They hate each other so much that they keep fighting all the way back past Dominic, who is still upset. But then we hear the music of number 9, and it's Pete Dunne. Or so everyone thought, because it turns out it's R-Truth dressed as he says, Butch. And Dominic runs over to him and he says, Truth, you've got to give me your spot. You had to have seen that. I got robbed. But then Truth says, my name ain't Truth. It's Butch. And Dominic says, fine, Butch, give me your spot. But Truth snaps and says, I hate being called Butch. And then he smashes Dominic in the face and nails him with a bitter end. What the hell is Truth even doing? Well, Pete Dunne, the real Pete Dunne, wants to know the same thing as he storms out and drops Truth with the same move. And it's clear that it was actually Pete Dunne's spot all along, and he enters the fray. And then he's quickly followed by a very unsympathetic Rey Mysterio, who runs and jumps over the body of his own son to enter at number 10. Just in time to see Nick Nemeth get a massive elimination of LA Knight, who needed eyes in the back of his head while fighting Carmelo Hayes. But there's no rest for the wicked when number 11 arrives, and it's the American-made Chad Gable, who gets right to work on whoever he can get his hands on. Then it's the arrival of number 12 that not only ignites the crowd, but ignites a slew of eliminations. Boom, But while he runs riot, we cut to picture-in-picture where I tell you about Factor, which is the sponsor of today's video. And if you're anything like me and suck at cooking, this could be for you. Because I'm bad at cooking, but I'm even worse at choosing something that's actually good for me, and Factor takes the stress out of meal planning and sets me up with healthy food that actually tastes good. And it's ready in just 2 minutes. And it has plans that go as low as 4 and up to as many as 18 meals a week, depending on your needs, with the option to pause or reschedule your deliveries at any time. But I reckon one of my favorite things to do is eat snacks while watching YouTube, and Factor brings the goods. You can get smoothies, juices, and small bites that pair perfectly with an epic Murph's YT13 video. So get 50% off and free shipping on your first Factor box using my link. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code with your phone to get started. And cheers once again to the gang at Factor for doing me a solid and supporting the channel. It's Lucha Royalty, face to face with a man who wants that throne. Only to have the momentum killed by Drew McIntyre, who starts fighting them both off. And we make way for the number 13, the ever-ominous Shinsuke Nakamura, who comes in and he puts it on Drew and Ray, but it then leads to another fun face-off between two dark-looking entities. And it shows the possibilities for Penta are just endless in WWE, including the next man who brings the house down at number 14. Jey Uso yeets his way into the match and makes an immediate impact going after Drew, and he has a barrage of strikes for him. However, on the other side, Penta strikes again after a devastating knee from Nakamura that stumbles Ray over towards the ropes. Penta clotheslines him over, and that respect is no more. Ray has fire in his eyes, looking at a potential dream match in the future. But Penta needs to be careful because Nakamura tries to send him out, but Penta fights him off, which leads to number 15, and it's not as well received as number 14. The crowd hates it, and Logan slowly makes his way to the ring and is in absolutely no hurry to launch himself into the action. But as he's doing that, we see Nakamura all over McIntyre. But not only with fists and kicks, he wants to hit him with the mist. But McIntyre ducks, and he then laces Nakamura with a massive claymore. And he stumbles over towards the ropes, only to be helped out by Logan Paul, who completely lucks out for his first elimination, and he revels in it. But as he jumps back in the ring, he gets smashed by a double super kick from Penta and Jey, and the crowd erupts. They love it. However, they quickly turn because then the Iron Man of the match irons out one of the biggest threats in it, and he gets the elimination of Penta, which gives him another chance to aim for Jey. But it's then time for number 16, and it's Kofi Kingston. He's of course flanked by Xavier Woods, who isn't in the match, and they have a lot to say, or at least they try and say a lot, because as usual, they're getting booed out of the building. But they still try and talk rather than heading to the ring. Oh, here we go. The spookiness now, huh? Oh, wait. I get it. You're here because of E. Because we betrayed our family. Well, if you want to talk about betraying family, you shouldn't be targeting us. You should be targeting him. Because he abandoned us. He was the one who left us behind. So how about you go and find Big E? And Howdy just laughs at them and then turns towards the entrance. And he gets in the face of Woods and Kofi, and they're yelling at him, telling him that he betrayed them. And then Woods slaps him in the face, And it's then that he snaps and he picks up Woods and he lands a big ending on the floor. And Kofi knows he's in trouble and retreats towards the ring as Big E follows him. And with Howdy still watching on, very proud of his work, he hears the music of another man he's very interested in. The Miz's music is playing, but he's not there. He clearly doesn't want to come out while Howdy's standing outside. But he eventually is pushed out by Triple H, who is forcing him to leave Gorilla. But he bolts past Howdy and towards the ring. And as he slides in, he's immediately flung over the top rope by Logan Paul, who gets another cheap elimination. But The Miz doesn't even care. He's just trying to run away from Uncle Howdy, who slowly walks after him and chases him out of the building. But none of the competitors are willing to leave the ring that easily. They're all in there, continuing to slug away. You've got Drew McIntyre and Jay. You've got Logan, well, being Logan. And you've got Big E and Kofi still trading. But the next man in has a connection to Big E, as he is the last person he saw before leaving. The crowd is deafening. Aleister Black is back. And Big E looks like he's seen a ghost, because he pretty much has. And it's as he's staring at the entrance that Kofi stabs him in the back once more, grabbing him and throwing him over the top rope for yet another chorus of boos directed at Kingston. But as he soaks up those boos, he gets met with a dose of reality. Big E, with a disappointed look on his face, just simply walks away. But you know, he's not walking away from the fight in general, and there's still plenty more to go. But there's plenty more left in the Royal Rumble as well, as Logan somewhat arrogantly grabs Aleister Black from behind, but the arrogance leaves his body as Black snaps on him and lights him up with a combo that rocks Logan big time. And with Drew and Jay still occupying each other on the other side, it's time for number 20, and it's Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker looking to break the match apart. And he hits the ring with the speed you'd expect, and he's got spears for anyone he can find. He finds Black. He gets Jay, he gets Drew as well, but as he lines up Logan, he leapfrogs out of the way and then slides out of the ring, and he's extremely pleased with himself, and he's trolling the crowd in the front row as usual. But what he doesn't realise is Breaker is charging up, and he runs around ringside and drills Logan with a spear. He almost breaks him in half, and he puts Logan back in the ring purely so he can throw him back to ringside and eliminate Paul. It's a popular elimination, but then Braun has to face reality, because he's then faced with the 3 men he took down in order to get to Logan. And they're about to triple team him, but he's saved by the sheer magnitude of the 21st entrant. The Tribal Chief is in the building, and it's his first Royal Rumble for a number of years. But on his way to the ring, Black isn't just waiting around. He grabs Breaker to try and get him out, and it leaves Jay looking at Drew before Roman joins him. And Drew knows exactly what he's got to try and do, and he fights with everything against the bloodline that he hates with everything. But he's been in since number 1, so how much can he even have left? Well, it turns out hatred can give you a lot of energy. And in the heat of the battle, McIntyre gets Jey Uso out of the ring, and now he can finally get to the man who was last on his hit list. And Roman and Drew throw bombs. And as they are, number 22 enters, and it's Sheamus who goes right after Braun Breaker, considering their history, but of course is having to deal with Aleister Black at the same time, who is arguably one of the biggest threats in the ring. But another enormous threat enters at number 23 and throws the entire match into chaos. Punk is in, and now he has his chance to finally lock in a main event of WrestleMania. And the first to meet him is Breaker, who he runs through. And then it's Sheamus, who gets a taste as well. And then Black throws a black mass, but Punk catches it, drops him down, and has his chance to hit him with a GTS. And he wastes absolutely no time to get him out of the ring. It's a hell of a return for Black, but it ends at the hands of CM Punk, who then turns around to see Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre fighting. And he makes the decision to run over and help Roman, and together they eliminate Drew McIntyre. And this sends McIntyre off the deep end entirely. He slides back in, and he has a claymore for literally everyone in the ring. He runs around seeing red. He doesn't care who he hits, but as long as he is able to hit Roman Reigns. It's a wild scene. Every active member of the match is down, and as fate would have it, it's another member of the Bloodline in next at number 24. Solo has a choice between CM Punk or the man who took the Ulufala from him. It's a deceptively hard choice for Solo, and he takes too much time because the clock ticks down, and now enters number 25, and it's Sami Zayn, and Zayn runs down and goes right at Solo. He's making the assumption that he was going to go at his tribal chief. And Solo, this time, is going to have his hands full. There'll be no easy eliminations here. But as Roman and Punk both pull themselves up from the Claymores earlier, the mountain to climb only gets bigger with entrant number 26. And it's the giant Braun Strowman who hits the ring. And he is like a literal freight train. He hits every single corner and splashes every single member of the match. And all of the sudden, the Strowman Express could well be on the tracks to a main event of WrestleMania. Cena, for the last time, is going to try and win the Royal Rumble from lucky number 27. But in his way is the Giant, and he, as usual, doesn't back down whatsoever. He goes toe-to-toe with Strowman, and he tries to pick him up for an AA, but he can't quite do it. And then he gets besieged by Solo Sikoa, who he has a big history with. Sami is then tied up with Strowman as we look forward to number 28, and it's Austin Theory, or Grayson Waller, because not even they know who it is. But Theory is adamant, and he says, "It was me. Nick Aldis said it to my face. What are you even doing?" "Nah, mate. He said Grayson Waller. Plus, I need to get back at Cena for Money in the Bank." "You need to get him back." "I can get him back for us. I've already beaten him." But Waller ignores Theory, and he pushes him aside to walk towards the ring. And he indeed does take the spot, and he gets showered in booze for it, and it clearly pisses Theory off, who has been fed up with him for a while. And as Waller goes after Cena right away, Theory gets on the apron and punches Waller in the face. Cena picks up Waller and AAs him directly out of the ring. And it looks as though A-Town Down Under is now 6 feet under, with Theory walking out to applause. But there's no time to revel in his elimination, because Cena is attacked by Strowman again. Only this time, when Cena tries to pick him up, he does. And he plants Strowman with an AA, who tries to recover over near the ropes. But he's finished off by Sami Zayn, who nails him with a haluva kick for the Giant elimination. Which leaves us with 5 potential winners of this match, each one of them with their own motivations, each one of them with more than enough ability to do it, but each one of them will have to go through the next man who is equally as capable, if not more. Rollins is in at the desirable number 29, and he's here to burn down everyone else's chances of main eventing WrestleMania, especially one CM Punk, who Seth targets straight away, but very quickly it becomes every man for themselves, because you can't afford to be one-track minded in a match like this. But the big question on everyone's mind is who will get the coveted number 30. It's a nightmare scenario. Fatu cuts loose in the match. It's the worst possible person for everyone involved, except maybe for Solo, who enjoys watching the destruction. Fatu runs riot on anyone he can get his hands on, especially Sami Zayn, who he brutally Samoan drops onto the floor for his first elimination. But his path of destruction leads to a face-to-face with John Cena. But as usual, Cena doesn't take a backward step and he trades with Fatu. But is that even a good idea? Because Fatu lights Cena up with a vicious headbutt, which busts him open. And Cena is down, and the crowd are begging him to get back up. And as he tries to climb up the ropes with nothing left, it might be all in vain. Solo makes the most of the work already done by Fatu, and he's clearly not happy about it. But the heartbreak is on the outside as Cena is eliminated from his final ever Royal Rumble. And the thank you Cena chants ring out from the stadium as he goes to the entrance and thanks the fans in Indianapolis. And with Cena gone, it leaves just 5 men left. And with Rollins and Punk throwing hands on one side of the ring with pure, visceral hatred, we see Solo and Jacob stalking Roman Reigns. And Solo says, "You took everything from me. We were supposed to be family. Well, I got a new family. And they actually respect me. And now you're going to respect me. You're going to learn that you will never, ever see the end of this." Solo Sikoa, since losing the Ulafala, has lost all respect of his so-called family. Fatu turns his back on him, but he also turned his back on Roman Reigns, who tosses him out now. And it feels symbolic. Roman throwing out the past so he can focus on his future. But his future involves 2 men from his past as we see the final 3 of the Royal Rumble. The history between all of them goes unsaid, and what a moment it is to see them all in the ring competing at the same time. But Seth is clearly the freshest, and he manages to drop Punk with a Revolution knee, and he drops Roman with a pedigree, which gives Seth an enormous opportunity. Punk is on the ropes, Roman is on the ropes, and Seth has a choice, just like Roman did at WrestleMania. He couldn't resist, and he was ready for him. And just like that, with the heartbreak all over Seth's face, knowing he did it to himself, we are down to 2. Roman Reigns and CM Punk, 2 of the biggest stars in the history of the company, are going toe-to-toe. And Punk flings Roman over the top rope, but he barely hangs on, even with an attempt from Punk to knock him off. Roman is able to fight his way back in the ring, and this time he sends Punk over the top rope, but now he's hanging on desperately, really testing the triceps that failed him last year, and he fights his way back in. He picks up Roman for a GTS, but Roman slips out of it, and he sends Punk into the corner, and then he smashes him with a Superman punch, flies off, looking for a spear, but Punk moves, and Roman's momentum carries him over the top rope. And once again, Punk tries to knock him off, but Roman fights him away. He tries again, but Roman is so determined. Roman will not wilt. There is nothing that could possibly stop him. Or so we think, because Roman is pulled off the apron by a man in a black hood. The crowd can't believe what they've seen. CM Punk wins the Royal Rumble, but who was it that handed him that win? You left me high and dry at the mercy of those thugs after WrestleMania. He never would. He was there. And we told you there was a favor, and that favor was to make sure CM Punk got his WrestleMania main event. Now he has. Roman Reigns is left on the island of relevancy alone, and CM Punk finally has his WrestleMania main event. But maybe more importantly, he has his wise man at his side.